Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the quaint little village of Pimai, which once again lies in the hands of Frigoberto de Valencia. I am Marcus Aurelius, and this is Mountain Blade Warband, Suvarnabhumi Mahayuth. And it is now November 30th, 1543, and a lot has changed with Frigoberto since our last episode. First off, the good news. We have recovered Tipsuda and Winhemu. They were both captured by Lana. They were held captive in the city of what was it called? The one next to Lumpang. Lamphun. So they were captured at Lumpang and moved over to Lamphun. However, shortly after the battle, I should say, the war ended, and the Lana let them go. Now, in other mods, they would then come back and rejoin Frigoberto, but in this mod, they do not do that, so Frigoberto had to tap his ever-growing network of spies, that is, the travelers who visit the inns, and find the cities that they were located in. And fortunately for us, fortunately for Frigoberto, they were in cities that were not currently at war with Ayutthaya, and so he was able to get them back. He was also given his village back. So we currently have built a watchtower, and we are 24 days away from building a palisade. It amazes me how with an engineer as good as Shopper Kimpy, these things take so long to build. But let's talk about Frigoberto's plans here, because I gave you the good news, and now I have to give you the bad news. So Frigoberto has been romancing a young noblewoman. Her name is Lady Srida. We could probably find her here. Lady Srida. We have a relation of 49. She's very fond of Frigoberto. However, her father was not so fond of Frigoberto. And her father was a quarrelsome person, and so Frigoberto worked very hard to win his affection. He would continue little suicide missions into the lands of Portugal, that is, the lands of Malacca, where he would charge against enemy lords that had armies, in some cases 10 times the size of his. Now, this was great for Frigoberto, because Frigoberto was able to follow him and then get him out of a few scrapes, which endeared him to Frigoberto quite a bit. Let's see where he is on this. There he is. So he got up to and that is a lovely haircut, let me just say, but we got him up to a reputation of 38, which is not great, but it's not bad. And just as Frigoberto was about to ask him for his daughter's hand in marriage, now that Frigoberto was landed, he disappeared out of thin air. It was the weirdest thing, but I noted down at the bottom that unfortunately for his reckless behavior, he was exiled from Ayutthaya, and he joined up with the Mac, who have engaged in a stunning resurgence, capturing the city of Longvek from Longvek, and also the castles of Chaktamuk and Batambang. Now bear in mind now, Longvek doesn't even have one city at this point. They only have a couple castles. So that is a big blow for them. Also pay attention to how big the Lei have become. They now have Vientiane and Luang Prabang, in addition to their original cities of Da Nang, Tran Hoa, and the Mac cities they conquered of Dong Kin and Lang Son. I don't think Hanrang is a city. So they are a vile force of darkness. Ayutthaya's been hanging on, especially with the help of Frigoberto. Portugal has been in pretty much constant war with them since the last episode. Tongu's hanging in there. Lana took Prom away from the Shan, although the Shan are now attacking Maracu. So, why is this relevant to Frigoberto? Well, because Frigoberto wants to start his kingdom here in the former lands of the Mac, because it is a very defensible region, and I assume that a part of what nations declare war on you is whether or not they border you. So in this case, he would only border one nation, and as a result could reasonably assume to be at peace with the other ones. I mean, there's always random wars going on at any given time, but it would be quite difficult for these other powers to send an army all the way here, especially if they were also at war with the Ley, or with anyone, really, and leave their own lands unguarded. But the Ley are becoming ridiculously powerful to the point where Frigoberto might not be able to defend the city he can capture. So that's becoming a real problem. So I'm trying to get these other powers to declare war on the Ley. And right now, Ayutthaya loves Frigoberto. The king loves him, the nobles love him, but these other countries, Lana, Shan in particular, don't love him, and Lansheng is a little bit hostile to him. And this needs to change, because in the event that Frigoberto fights the Ley, he's going to need these guys not only to assist him in fighting the Ley, but also not to fight against him. So, it's decision time, because right now, Frigoberto cannot really affect these lords' liking of him while he is a vassal of Ayutthaya. The only way he can do so is when we are at peace with these nations and they are fighting against a neutral power, or a power that Ayutthaya is also at war with. Frigoberto can intervene and make friends by helping them in battle. But that's a very rare scenario. And otherwise, I don't believe we can ask them for jobs, because they'll be like, wait a minute, aren't you working for Ayutthaya? So the only other way is to be at war with them, to capture them in battle, and then release them, which gives you 5 rep at a time and is not very useful. Now, I don't know if this is actually the case or not, but it would stand to reason that your relationship with the monarch of a certain country determines how easily it is for them to go to war with you. So it would be in his best interest to make friends with Queen Jiraparapa and whoever it is that rules the Shan, which is Saufa Thohanbwa. He looks a little constipated. So that would be a good thing for him to do. He's pretty good friends with Pero de Faria, but the Portuguese are so far away, they're not going to really impact the scenario at all. So, I'm using my village to build Frigoberto's right to rule, which is actually pretty good. It's at, well, it doesn't show it here. His renown is over 1,000. His right to rule is almost at 100, which I think is the litmus test for whether or not people think you're okay at ruling. And his honor is really high, so I think he could get away with it. But again, he needs some good relations with these other lords. Right now, all these people that like him, well, there's a Mac here. And the Ley dynasty, well, that's not going to last very, very long. Ayutthaya, Ley dynasty, Mac. Ayutthaya. Tongu. So, I mean, he does have random lords, and we can look at the ones that like me the most. Obviously, leaders of countries aren't ever going to join Frigoberto. But reputed to be upstanding. These are the guys that I want working for me, and I want to like me, and good-natured. But the problem is, men who are good standing and, or upstanding and good-natured tend to not be the kind of men who abandon their lords and go out and join someone else. Rather, you get kind of the guys that nobody else wants hanging out in your court. So Frigoberto has a number of problems coming up. One, he has to find some way to make friends with the lords of these nations that border the Ley. Two, he has to make sure the Ley does not aggressively expand even further. And three, he has to then conquer at least a town. It has to be a town, because otherwise a castle will not provide income, will not provide troops, will not be able to sell weapons and armor and other items, which we may not be able to do anywhere else. So that's one problem. Another problem is he needs a wife. Now you might ask, Marcus, it is obvious to all who watch this series that Frigoberto is in love with Tipsuda. So why on earth would he want a wife? Well, the rationale for that is because in this game, you need a noble wife in order to gain legitimacy and right to rule. But also, the wife makes a very good chancellor, or I believe it is chancellor, the person who rules your kingdom's affairs. Now, you could name just some nobody from the fields. However, they don't have the same level of ability. You can't do the kind of things with them that you can do with either a companion or a wife. And Frigoberto likes all of his companions, and he wants all of them to be with him on the battlefield. So it would make sense to have a wife do the fighting, or not the fighting, do the ruling in his stead while Frigoberto is out doing the fighting. I don't know, maybe many of you are familiar with the novel Dune, or the series of novels about Dune by L. Frank. No. By Frank Herbert, not L. Anyway, by Frank Herbert. And in these books, there is a relationship by the main character, Paul Atreides Muad'Dib, who is the emperor of the universe, at least he is by the second book, and his concubine, a woman by the name of Chani. She is his true love. She is the mother of his children. She is, in all but name, his wife. However, in order to bring legitimacy to his nascent government, he marries the daughter of the previous emperor, Shaddam IV, and her name is Princess Irulan. Now, Irulan is very intelligent, is well-versed in the ways of politics, and she functions as an advisor for Muad'Dib and his family, I guess you would say. But while she has the title of wife, they never consummate that. They are not romantically engaged, and she's allowed to pretty much do whatever she wants. The only rule is she can't have children, because they might compete for rulership against Muad'Dib's natural-born children. So I plan to provide a noblewoman in this game with the same deal. Basically, she will live a life of luxury and a life of respect, where she will have incredible political power. She will manage the empire while Frigoberto is out fighting. She can do whatever she wants. She can take any lovers that she wants. And she will be a highly respected friend and advisor of Frigoberto. But she will only have the name of wife, while Tipsuda will actually be Frigoberto's paramour. So that's the plan. And let's be honest, folks. The life that women in this time period lead, where anything could go wrong at any time, that's a pretty sweet deal. I mean, she is, in effect, going to be the second most powerful person in the empire, or the kingdom, after Frigoberto. And we are making lots and lots of money on our slaves, which is great. So that is the plan. However, first we have to find a woman who's willing to marry us, and also I'd like to do it legitimately, such that the family approves and I don't have to elope. So that's going to be a problem. Lady Srita would be fine if I can find her, but she has unfortunately disappeared off the face of the earth and no one knows where she is. So right now, Frigoberto, as I think you all understood from the last episode, is creating an army of Jatulankabarts, which are the Ayuthayan elite troops, and also some sharpshooters. I have created a class for them called Reserve, where I do not allow them to get involved in battles. Now, I like to fight battles, especially ones that I grossly overmatch the enemy. I have way more troops than they do. I like to fight them automatically, which unfortunately does result in Jatulankabart casualties, so I've slowly been getting them up there. Right now I have 57 of them. So what Frigoberto is going to do right now, because a lot of what I need to do in the near future I'm going to be doing off camera, because it's just running around, making friends with lords, making friends with villages, that kind of thing, to prepare for my eventual kingdom. But what Frigoberto is going to do right now on camera is he is going to build a hideout. And while some people had suggested that it's a smart move to build one on an island, that would require buying a $10,000 boat and then going to an island that is far away from the action. And that's just, right now, that's just not convenient. Instead, I would like to create a hideout that exists near the lands of the Ley. No, I do not want the castle of Maik. Frigoberto is going to be leaving Ayutthaya soon, so does not want any of their castles. The village is good because it allows me to build right to rule. It doesn't cost me anything. But so what Frigoberto has decided to do is he's going to build his hideout in this little stretch of land here between the lands of the Ley and close to where he eventually is going to have his kingdom. But also it's off the beaten track a bit. It's kind of protected, if you will, by Ming rebels. I'm not sure if the rebels can, on their own, attack a hideaway. I've never built one before, but I guess we're going to find out. So right now there's a Atlantic caravan that's just about to get crushed by Wang Zi's bandits. And I think Frigoberto could take them, but I don't think the caravan is going to last long enough. They have 2 men left. And it looks like Wang Zi has 300... Well, that might be tough. Okay, so let's let them scatter a bit. Looks like they don't want to mess with Frigoberto, which is probably for the best. Okay, so this is a problem. We want Shan and Lei to be at war constantly. Now they're at peace, which is not good because it allows Lei to further extend its power. But for right now, we're going to go all the way up here. And we are going to build Casa Secreto del Frigoberto. And we don't have that much money either. We need a bunch more slaves before we can start ruling a kingdom. Let's see if we can get this set up here. Alright. Construct a hidden camp. Alright, so we're here in the mountains, near the lands of the Ley. Lady Surya, she's my backup. She wants to meet, that's fine. And so now I have a hidden camp. And we can expand it to a secret base. I'm going to do that, although now I'm... Oh, it takes time to do this, I see. Now, I don't believe that the bandits should be able to do anything against my secret base, but if they are, that's fine. One of the reasons I'm building it is so that I can store my Jatulenkabards there, so that when they're needed, they will be ready. So I'm sure they'll be able to defend it from some bandits. Now, Longvek, you shouldn't be declaring war on anybody, frankly. Johor's kind of defeated Longvek and Lana. So Longvek is pretty much done. Everyone in the world is declaring war against them. I doubt any lords of the Ley will have any reason to come up here and look for my secret base. It's well off their beaten track. Come on, let's go inside of it, yes? Come on. Alright. Rename the secret base? You are at Frigoberto de Valencia? Okay, whatever. And we're going to station a garrison here. We're going to station our Jankalenkabarts, or Jatulenkabarts. Sorry that I'm having trouble speaking today. And our sharpshooters. So, and then there's a fort captain, apparently. Wow, you look pretty tough. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Sorry about that, but apparently, when you try to enter your secret base, the game crashes. And I've tried to do it a few times now, so I know for a fact that it crashes every single time. I highly doubt any of the modders of the Racia team or Shopper Kimpy is still watching the series, so I'll go on the forums and let them know. It shouldn't be a problem though, because the main thing I'm using the secret base for is just to station a garrison, so it still functions perfectly well for that purpose. My only fear is that should this secret base ever be attacked, I will need to defend it. And if the game crashes every time you try to load the 3D model, well, then it's going to crash if I try to defend it. So I'll have to auto-defend it, which I'm not 100% sure, but I think the game just counts the number of troops you have and not the quality. So like 100 peasants would beat 50 or 60 Jatu Lankabarts. I could be wrong on that, but that's really disappointing. And I'm sad that my secret base, which I've renamed to my secret base, is broken like that. So hopefully we can get that fixed. Who knows? But I'm going to go ahead and call it an episode. So you know where our secret base is, and this is going to help us springboard our attack into the lands of the Ley. Hopefully we'll have at some point over 100 Jatu Lankabarts stationed here, and hopefully it will remain a secret base. Again, I can't see any reason why a Ley Lord would want to come up here, and I don't think that the randomly generated armies of Ming rebels are going to be a problem. So I think we should be just fine, but that's kind of a bummer, and maybe they could fix it if I mention on the forums. So once again, I am Marcus Aurelius. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one.